That changes the game. And on top of that, you mentioned it, there's 4 guys that are in good shape. They're going to have a great time this weekend. But everybody else trying to get in the playoffs, because of everything Junior just said, it's so easy to get in a wreck. It's so easy to tear something up. That makes this weekend, to be quite honest, it's so stressful that it's hard to have fun. And that's going to be the deal for these drivers, because it's just going to be, there's no easy part of this racetrack, not a single place.
The other thing that I have heard is opportunity. This is an opportunity because it's a racetrack where nobody has any history whatsoever. So you can look at guys outside of the playoffs that could make a name for themselves, come to this racetrack and have a great run, or maybe push it too far and take out a playoff contender possibly at this racetrack. That's another variable that comes into play.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you go to other racetracks and you know how to capitalize, here it's hard to know how to capitalize on opportunities here. I mean, you just don't know how that's going to happen, other than just being lucky, not making a mistake, and other guys having those type of mistakes and issues. You know, you could find yourself in a position where you might be able to sneak into the playoffs that way. But there's just, I mean, the track's so slick, so treacherous, and the guys out there, you might have a clean race and get taken out by someone else who, you know, overshoots or wheel hops into the corner. There's going to be trouble and issues lurking around every corner.
There is an opportunity. There's an opportunity to take advantage of all the things you just talked about. There's an opportunity to Denny Hamlin's a great example. He has some ground to make up. This is a racetrack that a lot of people in front of him could have problems, and he could take advantage of that. So, you know, the truth is, we just don't know. I mean, and I think that's what's awesome about this weekend is we don't know. Those guys sitting in those cars down there, they don't know. It's you know, when you go to a normal racetrack, when you have on a restart and you drive down, you launch on a restart, you drive into turn 1, you kind of know what to expect and where the grip is, and you know what's happening around you changes every lap. But you kind of know what to expect. Here, you don't even know what line to be in. You don't even, I mean, there's just so many things that we just don't know.
I wonder about guys like Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Larson, people that have actually ran in the 24 Hours at Daytona, which is a Roval. I know it's a completely different, you know, series, car, and everything, but I wonder if maybe those guys might come in here with a little more, being a little more relaxed. Hey, I've kind of done this before. I know what to expect. I know how to, you know, rein in my attitude and personality and stay calm in this situation when other guys are really unsure about what to do and how to approach this. I think some of those guys may be a little more calmer than we think.
Well, let's see who's the calmest as practice about to get underway. Before it does, let's go into the garage and Marty Snyder.
All the unknowns of this weekend, guys, and as you mentioned, also a cutoff race. This is going to add to the intrigue of the weekend. So we're going to spend a lot of time focusing on Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson, who's still here in the garage area, Eric Jones, and, of course, Denny Hamlin as well. Jeff, you mentioned that 29 points below the cut line for this race team. I talked to Mike Wheeler, his crew chief, right behind me now. Earlier this week, I said, is this a must-win for your race team? He said, you know, maybe not. He said, we really have to evaluate, you see the cars rolling the track, where things are in stage 1 and 2. He said, who knows? We could finish top 3 in both of those stages. A bunch of cars could wreck out in front of us, and we might not have to win this weekend. Denny Hamlin told me moments before he climbed in the race car, my biggest goal in this first practice session, learn a little bit more about the track, especially that backstretch chicane. It is different since these teams tested here. He said, I think there's a lot of time to be gained there, but a lot of eyes will be on these guys below the cut line, Rick.
So practices, or I should say testing, was available to these teams a couple times this year. The absolute final layout of the racetrack was not done until just before this race.
Yeah.
And so yesterday there was track time available, but of course some showers passed through the area, so not a lot of time was put on the track. This will be the most cars on the track at one time since it has been announced that there is a Roval here in Charlotte. And that right there is turn 12 that they're coming out of, the chicane on the backstretch. And a lot has been said of that. That turn could be very treacherous for some people.
It will be for all people. So I said at the Open that there's nothing easy on this racetrack, and you're watching Kevin Harvick go around. So this is obviously front straightaway of the normal track, and you know, braking heavy into turn 1. This is a really tight exit. That wall comes up on you really quick. This is a blind corner. You cannot see around this corner. I mean, just everything about this racetrack is going to be tough, Junior.
This turn 3 where we saw a lot of guys having problems in testing, getting down into that right-hander. It's downhill, a little bit off-cambered. This is the middle of the interior of the racetrack, the infield.
And check this out. This is what people didn't realize. I didn't realize. Look at the elevation change. And look, where'd Charlie Gatto go? You cannot see him. And look at the elevation change in the infield of Charlotte Motor Speedway. I had no idea there were hills here, and that's crazy, the elevation change.
Here I'm trying to put the throttle down. It's just, you're never really full throttle at any point through the infield. Just kind of bumping the throttle here and there, kind of keeping the momentum of the car going.
And if you're Kevin Harvick, you're not liking what you see out of the front windshield. Joey Logano's driven away from Kevin Harvick.
And we're being told that they'll be upwards of 170 miles an hour when they get to that braking point.
Watch this. Watch how close he comes to this wall.
That reminds me of the exit of turn 4 at Sonoma. We come out of that corner and get right close to that fence. This wall, though, here is a tire wall. They moved it about a foot yesterday during practice for the Xfinity Series, bumping that wall.
All right, so check this out. So here he comes on the front straightaway. Oh,
well, maybe not.
Got a spin.
Bubba Wallace has spun on the track.
He's got her fired up, so this probably won't be a caution. They'll let him get going. They're going to treat this, you know, this is completely different because it's the Roval, but it's still a road course. And they're going to treat this like a road course. So somebody spins on the road, they're going to let him go. I mean, they're not going to throw a caution immediately. Oh, there we go.
And there's Eric Almirola.
He's made contact.
Yeah, he did. That's turn 3.
Back out there when you can.
A little bit of damage. That's the area we saw in testing. A lot of people had problems when turn 3.
This surface is brand new. Just recently repaved on the inside of the racetrack, and this tire, to be able to take the pressure and the forces and the banking, they've had to bring a really hard tire here, really conservative tire. That's why these guys are having such trouble. And there he is behind this.
Slides and backs it into the tire wall. And these tire barriers are all around the track.
I got to drive the NBC car in a little while. I'm nervous. So here you go.
He's loose.
Yeah, loose way early on corner entry.
That's what we're going to see all weekend. Guys getting loose down into that downhill. It reminds me of the entrance to turn 1 at Watkins Glen. Downhill, you're in probably second gear through there.
Where we saw the 9 of Chase Elliott wheel hop on the very last lap.
Right. But these guys don't have a runoff like you do at Watkins Glen, where you can just go straight and give up the corner.
So, Junior, we see Eric Almirola, and he had trouble on lap 1. He had made one time lap, and it poses the question, how hard do you push your car in practice? If you're afraid you're going to wreck, how do you approach the weekend? But the truth of the matter is, Eric Almirola can't ride around this weekend and get done what he needs to get done. He has to have a decent finish, and the only way to have a decent finish is to have a good practice and to push yourself, push the car, find out where you need to be better, find out where the car needs to be better.
Right rear damage, pushed in the bumper back towards the...
I don't know how much time they'd spend on that. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. I'd get him back out on the racetrack. They'll take a look at it.
The driver is going to matter more than the car. I'm with you. Like, get it sort of kind of okay and send it back out.
Yeah, I mean, laps.
So,
oh my goodness,
that's big. That was big.
I want to take a moment to talk about those blue bumps on the interior of the curbs, calling them the turtle shells. You see what that did to that car. Let's watch him go through there again. This is going to be what gets a lot of drivers in trouble.
That it's right hitting, there.
Look what it's already damaged the splitter, knocked the splitter, bent the splitter up at a terrible angle. The one car on the Xfinity side broke the left jack post off, hitting the other side. So if you break a jack post off in the race, what are you gonna do there?
Down on the right front.
Like, he's messed that car up pretty bad.
And that's what Denny just said on the radio, Junior. He said, I've messed it up pretty bad. I'm sorry. Mike Wheeler said one thing to Denny Hamlin this week in their competition meeting: we cannot hit the turtles. That's what they're calling them, those blue things. And they've done it here early in practice. He said, we've messed it up pretty bad. You can see that right front damage on the 11 car.
Yeah, so I think the speed of that, where he hit it, that matters. You know, there's some other places on a racetrack that aren't as fast, and I think you can roll the car up on the turtles. But as fast as he's going right here, watch this. Boom! I mean, that's a combination of speed. If you're going really slow and the car's unloaded, then it's not so bad. But these turtles, they are for real. They're tall. They're made out of steel. They are not going to move, and they're made to keep drivers from going there. They don't want the drivers there, so that's why they put them.
And they're about 6 to 8 inches tall. So I mean, it's not just a little bump that they're going over. They are tall enough that they're to deter drivers from trying to cut these corners. That's what just happened with Denny Hamlin.
Yes, fans will need to watch that, especially back there on the back straightaway. Jeff, you're right. I think that's where guys are going to hit those accidentally and do some serious damage to their cars. So something to keep an eye on all weekend.
And guys, all those turtles, they are, Rick, as you said, 6 inches off the ground. The normal ones weigh 80 pounds, but everybody was cutting that backstretch chicane where Denny was, trying to gain a little bit of extra time during testing, as you watch his teammate Kyle Busch go around right now. So what Charlotte Motor Speedway did in conjunction with NASCAR, those last 3 turtles at the end of the chicane, they made of half-inch thick steel. They weigh 200 pounds instead of the normal 80 pounds, and you can see the damage they do. They don't want you cutting that chicane. The message clearly delivered there. And by the way, Denny said we definitely broke something on the right front of our car.
Look at Denny. Look at Kyle. He is pushing his race car. You can see how much that car is moving around.
He has so much. Oh, we got a car.
And he almost got into the wall there. We just saw the 18 brush up against the wall when he was coming to the line.
He's making contact.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is off track, off course.
Sit right here, still no caution.
He spun up, I believe, coming out of turn 5, and
so now he's waiting to get back.
So Rick,
track.
we've heard all this conversation for weeks about how tough this racetrack is going to be. We've seen it. Look at Kyle Busch. We talked about how hard he was pushing his car. Car sideways under downshifting, and he just can't make it. He just missed it, and that's something NASCAR is not going to allow. But trouble after trouble. Bubba Wallace again. He's around again for the second time. Good thing those signs move, huh?
Yep, the signs move.
how about that turf in the infield?
Stood up.
18 car went through there, still got the splitter on there.
That's right. That's right.
Hopefully we see more of that.
There's
There's 17.
That's pretty good contact there.
Hitting the wall.
That
Turn 4.
Yep. That's actually exiting. Yeah, you're right. Turn 4. So that's that whole swing from 3 to 4 is going to be tough for these guys.
So how long have we been practicing?
It's been about 6 minutes.
And how many incidents do we see? We got a whole weekend to go, Rick.
Yeah. We've been at it for a very short period of time. It's a learning curve. Kyle Busch, he has the fastest lap, so maybe he's learned the quickest, but there's a lot of people that still have a lot to learn.
The Roval has created excitement already. First practice, Kyle Busch pushing hard in the throttle a little too much, just snags the wall just a little bit. No big damage, though.
And you got Ricky Stenhouse carrying too much speed around turn 3 and into turn 4. Never had a chance to really gain control of the car into the tire barrier pretty hard there.
You know, I wonder how much damage is on that car. It didn't look as hard as he hit. Maybe it's those tires made it look worse.
And that's Jeffrey Earnhardt, IK9. He's got the helmet cam this week.
That is the racer.
Austin Dillon, he goes around in the 3.
You got to spin out once or you're not trying hard enough.
He spun out in turn 6 there. Coming around turn 7 and 8 to the... Getting up on NASCAR 1. Let's look at Jeffrey's spin out here. Entering turn 1.
Ooh.
They're
calling that heartburn.
Gosh, how did he not hit something?
Lucky. So lucky because there's nothing but fence.
Look at all the white walls around him. Gets in the throttle.
Yep.
Wow, how did he not hit something?
Here's Austin. Oh, where's he going? It's way out there.
I know Austin is an outdoorsman, but I think he needs to stay on the asphalt.
It is the planting season.
Yeah. Now he got down into turn 5 too hard and just missed the corner. There's a straightaway in the infield from turn 4 to 5. Those guys are going to get a lot of speed into that corner into turn 5.
So compare today's practice to yesterday's Xfinity test. Okay, not many incidences in the Xfinity test. Well, guess why? Because time didn't matter. You had many hours to get track time. Well, today you get an hour and a half, and then you're going to qualify. So you don't have time to just ride around, take your time. You have to immediately start pushing. So you can see what the importance of qualifying is, how important it is to start the weekend right. That's why these guys are pushing that hard. You don't want to start 25th. You want to start to the front. Everybody knows this is going to be a crazy race. Your track position's going to matter.
This is turn 6 down into turn 7, left-hander. This will go turn 8 up onto the NASCAR oval. This is 9 through here, 9 and 10.
And easy wide open here. Cars, much slower than it would be, for the 600 on the normal oval, although they're set up for a road course.
And chicanes 11 and 12. 12's the exit. Be careful here. Oh, boy, that's tough. Around 13 and 14, which is original oval. NASCAR 3 and 4.
And you see pit road on the left. Pit road's normal, just like always. No change on pit road.
That kink is 15. This will be 16 and 17.
So let's ride around with a map. Let's pull a map up. So here we are on the front straightaway. He's going to drive into turn 1, left-hander. This is where we saw Jeffrey Earnhardt spin out just a minute ago. See those walls on both sides of him. Now turn 2. Then turn 3. This is where we saw Eric Almirola get into the wall just a little bit, a right-hander. It's turn 4. A little bit of a back straightaway, Junior, heading to turn 6, turn 5.
And turn 5's uphill. It invites you to drive in there deep. Roll the car up in there around turn 5 to turn 6, which is a tight corner. Slow the car down, hug that wall. Left-hander to 7.
And blind. Crazy how what you can't see around there. Now he's coming to turn 8. That's going to push him back onto the normal oval track. He's in what we normally would say is turn 1. If we were here for the Coke 600, that would be turn 1 coming to turn 2 and down the back straightaway. You're going to see he's going to enter this chicane. Turn 11 is the beginning of the chicane. This is where we saw Denny Hamlin just a moment ago. So right there, he's not on those turtles. Turn 12, going to always be against that wall on the left side. He's going to pit. That's a lap. A lot of corners, 17 of them, Rick.
And we stayed on that car the whole way around, and he didn't hit anything. And he didn't get off track.
And they're cheering.
And the people are cheering that he was able to make it all the way around unscathed. And he'll make it back into the garage. Kyle Busch, as I mentioned earlier, he's the fastest up to this point in this first practice for the Monster Energy Cup Series. Chris Buescher turned a great lap as well, 118. Jimmy Johnson's up there. Michael McDowell, a name that we would expect anytime you have right and left turns. McDowell has definitely proven that he's one of the better to go onto a road course. Brad Keselowski, Jamie McMurray, Trevor Bayne, Kyle Larson, Kurt Busch, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So everyone continues to worry about the turtles. The blue bumps that try to keep you on track. Well, this is what happened when Denny went off track.
Kevin Harvick coming through here. You hit those curbs on the right. Look how close he comes to that tire barrier. They are coming inches from that tire barrier. This shot is amazing down here. Joey Logano going through it right now. And this is just practice. Imagine what they're going to do in qualifying and they're going to do in the race. So that backstretch tire barrier on the other side of the chicane, it's almost like, Jeff, you hit those right side curbs, it kind of throws you towards that tire barrier. They do have 3 of those they can replace during the weekend, but it's fun to be back here. Watch this backstretch chicane. Everybody sliding through here as best they can and daring. I'll say that's the word that comes to mind of how close they're coming to that tire barrier.
So I think when Kevin gets around there, we'll talk about that a little bit, but it's important to try to straighten that chicane out. Try not to make it a corner. You can hear, it sounds like you can hear the tires squealing on that 4 car.
I was looking at you, I was like, you hear that? That's how, I mean, that's the tire on the edge of, I mean, it's really chattering, sliding around the racetrack. That's the tire literally that close to being, you know, out of the racetrack and the car spinning out. He is.
Now is that cutting the track?
No, that's good, man.
He can do that?
Yeah, in my book, it's fair game.
So this chicane, this rear chicane that Marty was just talking about, let's follow Kevin Harvick and let's see why you're going to get your left side right against that wall. You want to be as far to the right there, and now you want to straighten it out. So the only way to straighten it out is you have to flirt with that wall, man. You got to, when you go by it, you just got to just squeeze by it. And, you know, that thing is going to cause problems all week long, but this is just what you're going to have to do. That's how you're going to have to get through this chicane.
That will be black by the end of the race. From the side, cars hitting it, tires hitting it.
And it might get further and further and further and further away.
And NASCAR said that after a point, they'll stop and make sure that it gets pushed back to where it was originally.
Yeah.
If it does get pushed back.
They have tires on in turn 11 at Sonoma. There's tires there. They get moved around. If they get moved too far, they come in and move back. But
I used to move them.
yeah, you like the line a little tighter.
I did.
Yeah.
Now I didn't
more grip
intentionally
down
hit.
there.
I didn't intentionally hit them, but I moved them every week. If
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So we talk about these chicanes and the turtles, and one of the things that NASCAR's going to have to judge all week long is what is cutting the course. Well, this is a great example. Kyle Busch gets in. He's in too deep. He just goes straight. That is clearly cutting the course. That time was disallowed. His first lap on the racetrack was the fastest, but NASCAR looked at that and said, you know, you had the fastest time because you went straight. You cut the chicane, you cut the course, so they disallowed that time. He's still fastest on the board, but that time will not be allowed. They're going to deal with that. You know, there's issues where if a guy had a problem, he got in there and downshifted and wheel hopped and couldn't get it slowed down but put an effort into it, they might not have a penalty. But when you're just going to blow through it and still lay a good lap time down, they're not going to allow that speed.
We talked with NASCAR earlier today, and the verbiage and the terminology they use is if you shortcut the course, we can disallow your time. That's in qualifying. If the course was cut to gain advantage, you can receive a penalty.
This is a great shot. So here you go. So right now he's throttling up, and he's trying to just go as straight as he can, and that's going to put you against that wall.
Oh, he's kind of loose right there. That's crazy that they're loose on the banking trying to slow down.
Yeah, he's braking on the banking and downshifting. So here we go. Let's put that back up.
Going into turn one. Alex Bowman's going to go by. He's going to let him go through. Down into turn two. Car's going to exit pits right here. Blend into traffic. Oh, look at him tail wagging. 3 and 4 here.
Talking about passing zones, Junior. You know, getting into turn 4, 5. This is kind of a passing zone, but it's going to be tight to make that happen. That if you are side-by-side through here, you better figure out how not to be pretty quickly, because this right-hander, then an immediate left-hander downhill through 7, that's going to be tough to pull off.
Oh, I do not envy what Jeffrey's doing right now. The back of that car is out of the racetrack so bad. No rear grip all the way through the whole infield. Now he's fine here. The car doesn't go fast enough through this corner to create any kind of balance issue.
Now he's in what would normally be turn 3.
Watch the
Turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, watch the steering wheel. Kind of lifting. But he backed it up from the run lap before because of the issues he had through there. He's like, I can't get through there that fast again. So took it a little easier through there and a little cleaner. Slower, though.
And that was a lap with Jeffrey Earnhardt around the Roval here at Charlotte. Well, David Reagan, he also got in a little bit hot and went through the turn here at Charlotte. That time was not allowed. It's Monster Energy Cup Series practice from Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is now the Charlotte Roval. You get NASCAR coverage when you're on the go with NASCAR Mobile. It's the official app of NASCAR. Puts race coverage and live in-car cameras right at your fingertips. Just search NASCAR in your app store or visit NASCAR.com/mobile. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. doing a little bit of work on that 17 when he got into the tire barriers. And we've been talking about the race car drivers having trouble with this track. How about the pace car driver?
So we are going to assume this is Brett Bodine just because it's fun.
And
To mess
he's
with
normally
Brett
the
Bodine a
pace
little
car driver.
But, yeah, I hadn't seen that very often. Brett out there digging, trying to make something happen. That's good stuff.
Eric Jones out on track, and one of the 4 drivers that is below the cutoff line. On Sunday, 4 drivers will be eliminated, the 4 lowest in points right now. That is Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson, Eric Jones, and Denny Hamlin. Is it a must-win situation for Eric Jones?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think this track has enough potential to be enough craziness so that it's not. Eric Jones, that's his first lap on the racetrack, immediately to second on the board. Eric Jones is an underrated road racer. If you look at his record on road courses, he's finished top 10 at 3 of the 4 road courses he's run in the Cup Series. I expect him to run well here. His average finish is really good. I'm really impressed that they sat there, waited, went out, went to P1 on his first lap on the racetrack.
Marty.
Hey guys, we saw the damage for Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones' teammate. He is still back in the garage area. It was just right front splitter damage. Talked to the team about that. They have gotten it almost all fixed. No suspension damage for the 11 car. They expect to go out in the next 5-6 minutes or so. Right next door, Ryan Newman with some right side damage as well. It's a popular thing. We saw Stenhouse a moment ago. Newman here pitching in, giving a little bit of help too for the team. That was right rear damage for him. And Chase Elliott just a moment ago said, I hit something pretty hard. He's coming back to the garage area to have his car checked out. So a lot of drivers out working on their cars. That's never a good thing, is it, Jeff?
No, for a lot of reasons.
Here you see Denny Hamlin coming through the backstretch chicane, hitting the turtles. Got to stay off those turtles. And that particular part of the track, Jeff, you talked about it in other areas where we've seen those turtles. Guys aren't going to have those issues. This is a back straightaway chicane. I want to see some guys entering this chicane. The line they take, they kind of bleed down low into the entrance of that. See them aim early. They turn in pretty early. That's interesting to me, Jeff, is how we're going to see that line change as guys start to use that as a braking zone, maybe a passing zone. Where would you even try to? Would you try to go to the left or right of a guy to make a pass into that kink? I mean, that's going to be interesting to see how guys try to use this opportunity when they get a run on a driver into that braking zone.
Yeah, think about the inner loop at Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
Think about how many issues we see at Watkins Glen. There's runoffs on both sides at Watkins Glen. Where's the runoff here? Because if they get together, they're probably going to go over here where the wall is or where this tire barrier is. And that's going to be a very difficult passing zone.
Here's the 18 car running a little wide on corner X.
Look out.
So close.
Oh, my goodness. What,
Like, I got
4
it.
inches?
It's all good. I got it. Yeah. Kyle Larson now P1. McMurray.
Well, that's
P2.
disallowed. That he just took that lap, and NASCAR has said they disallowed that lap because
Okay.
cut the course.
So speaking about this backstretch chicane, much like Watkins Glen, you're going to have to finish the pass before the entry.
Yes. Yes, I think so too. Now, that's easier said than done because the guy that you're passing, he doesn't want to give it up.
Right.
So,
He has to know that it's lost cause.
have to work together.
Yep.
Now, McMurray, his lap, I do not believe is going to be disallowed. I think that one's going to stick. And McMurray now has the fastest lap here at the Roval at just over 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Let's go on board with Kevin Harvick. We've got a great camera with him.
As he disappears into turn 7.
Here we go. Foot cam. So, Kevin is just entering the
Going turn 9 and 10.
which is 1 and 2 normal, 1 and 2 on the banking. Down the back straightaway, heading to that chicane that we've been talking so much about. Downshifts, throttles back, leaving. Now he's going back to 4th gear. He's in the center of what is normally 3 and 4, coming to the front straightaway. Now he's coming to this front chicane.
2nd gear.
Start-finish line right there. Approaching turn 1.
Still in 2nd.
Now watch this. This is different about this racetrack than almost every other road course we see. This entire section is probably going to be in 2nd gear. You're not going to see him shifting inside. Oh, it's close.
Smoke, somebody's staying loose through there.
So he's in his 2nd gear this entire time on this road course part. Normally you see a lot more shifting, but in this inner part of the racetrack, you're just going to run 2nd gear.
All right, Austin Dillon has run the most laps at 11. Kevin Harvick, well, he's still learning. Kevin Harvick out on track and learning the Roval. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series practice from Charlotte and the Roval. And so many people have had issues, and a lot of them with the turtles. And by cutting the corners, you're going to potentially get up on these blue, what we're calling turtles, on the inside of these turns.
Yeah, no damage done by any of these until we look at this one. And he hit on the front side of the turtle at a high-speed part of the racetrack, and the nose hit first, not the tire. And then here's Kyle Larson trying to carry a lot of speed into this front stretch chicane and just missed it. Of course, that time was disallowed. Check it out as you ride along. You're just better off quitting. You know, at some point, you're going to miss it anyway, so just straighten it out. Don't get yourself in trouble.
Guys are going to try hard all day long to push that corner. Got to find the limits. That's a corner that doesn't have walls. There's no real big penalty. You just, if you miss it, you overdrive it, you just cut through it. So that's a corner that allows you to charge to find that limit and find how far you can take your car into that braking zone.
Marty.
And because of those turtles, as you guys have talked about, teams having to think a little bit different. Remember, a moment ago we told you Chase Elliott said, I hit something really hard. Well, there's no damage on the 9 car anywhere. It's underneath. That left front is where you hit one of those turtles. Alan Gustafson told me everything it should be fine, but going to have to think differently. You know, sometimes the damage isn't necessarily exterior, Jeff. With these turtles, it's underneath. And a lot of these teams have reinforced everything, moved everything up they can to avoid those, but still, they're hitting them.
I just think you're going to, as a driver, you're just going to have to change your mindset. You can't think Watkins, Glen, Sonoma curbing. You've got to think Roval curbing, and how you hit them and when you hit them is going to be different here than anywhere else we go.
And we see the fastest times. Clint Boyer now at the top of the chart. Right along with the 47 of A.J. Allmendinger. And that was announced earlier. JTG Doherty Racing said that AJ would not be back with this organization in 2019. Well, it was just announced who will be driving the 47 car, and that will be Ryan Preece. We have seen him have success in the Xfinity Series, and it looks like he's going to have a shot with JTG Doherty Racing in 2019.
Well, certainly disappointing for A.J. Allmendinger, but at the same time, Ryan Preece is a guy that many short track racers look up to. And they, so many times you go to short tracks and guys say, man, I'm just never going to get a shot. I don't have money. I don't have this. Well, he's an example that you can get the shot. So, hope A.J. can find something for him in the future. Really good opportunity, certainly for Ryan Preece.
We mentioned Ryan Preece. How about another Ryan? Ryan Blaney. And take a look at this. Mention that. Oh, my goodness, the wall.
Dang.
It will definitely do damage. The tire wall.
Split the body right there from the nose piece to the fender. Marty.
Junior, we showed you how close those guys were cutting it, and look at all the damage that did on the left front. I mean, that tore up the left front fender. That, contact looked fairly innocuous, but that's fairly big damage right above where that left front tire would sit. They've actually kind of cut it in half, and now they're kind of putting it back together with pop rivets here on the 12 car for Ryan Blaney. But you saw that was so close there. Not a big hit, but it did a lot of damage.
That's going to... There's so much time to be had by trying to straighten out that, that chicane back there. And it's going to tempt the drivers to keep trying to get more and more. And it's just, when you make a little mistake, you're going to hit it.
And this really sums up the day. I mean, it has been frustrating for a few drivers, but nobody, I'm sure, is more frustrated than Bubba Wallace in the 43. 3 times he has been completely around.
Anything,
How about that? How about that right there?
Still ain't anything.
A little drifting for Bubba Wallace, but what a day it has been. And he's not the only one. Numerous drivers have been getting into the turtles just like this. Michael McDowell, wow. NASCAR racing, that's uptown Charlotte. And the racing taking place here at the Charlotte Roval. Tomorrow NBCSN at 3 p.m. Eastern, Xfinity Series playoffs. Then Sunday on NBC. Oh, my goodness. We have already seen an incredible first practice. And remember, this is a playoff elimination race. A race on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, again on NBC. All right, so 50 minutes, 55 minutes, we have seen on-track activity. And it has been virtually every lap someone is sideways or on two wheels or into a tire barrier. Is this what we're going to expect for Sunday's race?
It'll get a little cleaner and cleaner as these guys learn. They're pushing the limits of this racetrack, understanding how hard they can get through these corners, and you're learning one at a time. It's how many corners we got? 17. 17 corners. You got to figure out how hard you can push your car through, and you got to do it quickly.
So Kyle Busch right now is first on the board at 17. See right here, this is that front straightaway. I mean, that is using all the curb. But you can see that no damage to the car, like we saw with Denny Hamlin. So although the curbs may be the same in height, where they are on the racetrack and how you approach them is different, and the speed at which you're going matters. So where Denny hit, on the back straightaway, he hit the beginning of that curb, and the car wasn't shifted over with the weight at all, and it just pounded that right front.
It was almost as if when Denny Hamlin hit it, he hit it at such an angle that he had gone over the rumble strips and he was going back down before he hit the turtle. Where I've seen other cars like Kyle Busch, he's hit the rumble strips and the car's going up when it gets to the turtle.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the speed. They're going through that backstretch chicane in third gear. I mean, they're just having to shift from fourth to third. They're not even downshifting into first or second gear there, so there's so much speed, 140 miles an hour through this chicane.
And this is what's going to be difficult. See Denny Hamlin catching Jeffrey. Well, Jeffrey didn't do anything wrong, but, Denny couldn't it cost him speed going through that.
Slow down for this kink on the front straightaway before the start-finish line, much slower.
Yeah, that's a 90-degree turn. I mean, that's a 90-degree right-hand turn that they have to make right there. So really, we say the word chicane, but it's a turn.
If they don't have those turtles on the back straightaway, the guys will cut the corner. It just won't. I mean, they were cutting that in practice and gaining 5-10 seconds a lap.
Something to keep your eye on right here, too. Denny Hamlin, on that lap, he was 19th fastest, but he got held up a fair amount of that interlude. So I think there's some more speed left in this car.
And I think later this afternoon, qualifying is going to be entertaining. 2 rounds, they're going to be able to go out and try to turn look at the damage to Austin Dillon's left front.
I'm going to guess he hit that wall coming out of the back straightaway.
Being aggressive, I think got too much.
Got too much, he said.
Probably on a qualifying lap trying to figure out how far he could push it. I agree with you, Junior.
Is turn 12 still?
Look at it here.
Yeah, the turn 12 in the wall here.
See if that thing moves. See how far that moves. Drivers continue to contact that in the race.
Oh, he knows he's in trouble. Wow.
All right, so it slid that wall over. Guys going to hit that.
Yeah, look what it did.
And you heard him say, I was trying to get up more, and I just got too much.
And that's a backup car, right, guys? I mean, he's going to have to go to a backup because of that. All right, let's hear from a driver. Marty.
Well, a moment ago, Austin Dillon actually said that lap was a lot of fun until I did that. Let's see how much fun Eric Jones had on the racetrack. Second fastest for you. Where do you begin to describe this racetrack?
Well, it's a lot. I don't know. I felt really ready to go this morning. Sometimes you show up at the racetrack and feel kind of locked in, and I've had that feeling today. But it's good to see the speed our Easter's Camry is quick. So I feel like that lap still got some time left in it, but it's fun by yourself. I don't know what it's going to be like in the race, but it's definitely a good time getting out there and hopping curbs and sliding around all by yourself.
But it's going to be a different story with all those race cars on the track Sunday, Rick.
And the red and black flags have been displayed. That means that practice is done, but a lot still to be learned, and I'm sure that the crew chiefs are going to be wondering what just happened out there on the track. So the debriefing's about to get underway. There you see the times as far as everyone who was out on track. Those are the top 10. The playoffs, of course, indicated by yellow. And So you guys feel pretty comfortable about your fantasy lineup? Who you want to who do you want to have in your lineups today?
The one thing that stands out to me in those times is Daniel Hemrick. Well,
yes.
What does that tell me? He ran the Xfinity car yesterday. He's had a lot of laps on this track from yesterday, and I think that helps him go out there and look unusually good on the sheet. So as we go through the next practice, qualifying later today, practices tomorrow, guys are going to continue to find more time. That leaderboard is going to continue to shuffle. Another thing, too, the 3-car, Austin Dillon, hitting the wall on the back straightaway. You seen that wall move. The first guy that hits it, he's going to tear his car up. Then it's going to be out of the way for the rest of those guys. Mm-hmm. It's going to continue to get moved out of the way. Guys are going to be less likely to get into that wall during the race.
I think if I'm driving, I'm pushing as hard as I can to where that wall is. So I think eventually they're going to end up right against that wall no matter where it is.
Well, there's some turtles over there, so eventually, the turtles become an issue on that corner exit once the wall gets to a certain place, once it's displaced.
What we just saw was drivers trying to find the edge. And on a racetrack that when you push it and you go over the edge, you're going to pay a price. And so they're all learning that. They're all understanding it. And they're all going to watch the other wrecks that people are in to learn from that as well. I agree with Junior. I think it's going to calm down. I think that, by Sunday it's going to have to calm down a little bit. But, between now and then, I think to expect more of this. And I think at the race, clearly we're going to have issues.
I'm surprised at how bad it tore that race car up.
Yeah.
That's concerning for me. I don't want my driver hitting it the rest of the weekend.
I would guess that every crew chief is saying, driver, please don't hit anything on this racetrack, but it's difficult as they are pushing the limit on every single lap. And again, turn 12 has definitely been the focal point today.